Hello, everyone. I had to decide how to phrase this story. I had wanted to try to cater to YouTube's policy about certain words, but I realized that in order to properly explain this story, I needed to say words that YouTube does not like. So here we go. A school called police after a kindergartner with Down syndrome pointed a finger gun at her teacher. The girl's mom says they went too far. So there goes YouTube's red light. And that's why I gave up the earlier thought. A Pennsylvania elementary school called the police after a kindergartner with Down syndrome made a finger gun at her teacher. Officials concluded there wasn't a threat, but the girl's mother said they went too far. Now in 2019, Pennsylvania did have a tragic event transpire at a synagogue. I'm trying to avoid the mass S word, otherwise no one will see this video at all. But I can understand after 2018 and 2019, with violence widespread, why certain schools have stricter policies when it comes to perceived threats, especially as it relates to guns. But in this case, they went a bit crazy. A 6-year-old makes finger guns. A 6-year-old with Down syndrome, mind you. And you called the police. On who? The child? Did you think the kid was a danger? Let's continue and see if there was a good reason. Spoiler, there's not. Maggie Gaines called on the, I can't pronounce that word, Tridefferin, East Town School District to update its threat assessment policy after her 6-year-old daughter, Margot, was questioned by administrators for making a gun gesture at her elementary school teacher and pretended to shoot her. Gaines said it was a harmless expression of anger, but Margot's school in southeast Pennsylvania determined her actions appeared threatening, so they conducted a threat assessment. Administrators concluded that Margot made a transient threat and didn't intend to harm anyone, but they still called the Tridefferin police. So admins knew well and good that there was no threat, but they called the police on a child with Down syndrome. Who learns from this? Who is being taught a lesson? Is the kid taught a lesson that they shouldn't make finger guns? Well, probably not, because children with mental complications require a certain kind of teaching, and brute force discipline is not that way. The article continues. The district said calling law enforcement is part of its safety protocol, but Gaines said that in her daughter's case, the district misinterpreted its own policy. It was very clear from the beginning that she didn't understand what she was saying, Gaines told CNN affiliate KYW. Her having Down syndrome is one aspect of it, but I'm sure most 6-year-olds don't understand what that means. She said police filed a report on the incident that mentioned Margot by name. Tridefferin police didn't immediately respond to CNN's request for comment, but the school district told CNN that police didn't create criminal or juvenile records for Margot. No kidding. I'm so happy that the police didn't create criminal or juvenile records for a 6-year-old. What an absolutely psychotic notion. Was that what the school district wanted, since that was the words that CNN have printed here in their article? Did they expect the readers to assume that a record was created? What does that say? I swear, sometimes I think journalism brings more questions than it has answers. The incident occurred in November, but Gaines didn't take her grievances to the school board until late last month. An organization that advocates for local children with learning disabilities shared her statement to the school board. I am well aware that we live in a time when parents are concerned for their children's safety in school, she wrote in a letter to the school board, citing the mass Essings at Sandy Hook Elementary and Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School. But I also think our society and our schools across the country have overreacted with respect to perceived threats, resulting in even finger guns wielded by kindergarteners being viewed as cause to alert authorities. This is a fair statement by the mother, and she seems to have a good sense about her. She respects the history and understands the sentiment, but is severely critical of the notion that the school district acted on here. I hope to see more people like this in the future. Gaines asked board members to clarify the district's current threat assessment protocol. Per the threat assessment materials that Tridefferin East Town School District has made available online, a team of administrators, counselors, school psychologists, and other staff will oversee the assessment and consult with law enforcement to determine the risk. The district doesn't define what constitutes threatening behavior other than that it appears to be a threat to students or others. See, this right here is a sad and terrifying thought. School administrators basically get to determine what is a threat. Watch this be weaponized. Watch this get used improperly, and I mean more than it has been here, which is still really fucking bad. But what happens when it isn't a protected class? What happens when it's a young man, a teenage young man? I mean, we have seen other examples of schools freaking out. After all, there was a kid who made a gun Pop-Tart, a gun shape out of a Pop-Tart. He got in trouble. So we already know that these retaliatory policies put in place in response to tragedy have caused additional issues and aggressive policing. This is what conservatives try to warn gun grabbers of when they try and push gun reform after there's a tragedy. Actions done in anger or in grief are most likely to cause backlash for one, but also unintended consequences, usually falling on the side of authoritarian policing. But that's just my opinion. Tell me what you think. Like, share this video if you enjoyed it, comment below your thoughts. Thank you for joining me this evening. I hope you have a good one, and I'll see y'all soon.